What's up, it's Dennis here, and in this video I'd like to talk about drum set terminology. Now I know this is a very basic topic, so if you're not a complete beginner you can as well skip right to the next video where I will show you how I set up my drums. But since I noticed that a lot of my private students who are just starting out on the drum set either don't know or are having trouble remembering all the different parts of this instrument, I thought I'd quickly shoot a video to tell you all about the basic components. So let's start with the drum shells. The largest drum is called the bass drum and is played with the bass drum pedal. And it sounds like this. Up here we have the rack tom and down here the floor tom. Now most entry-level kits come with two rack toms, so you probably will have two here and have to move the right a little bit more out to your right side. I've mounted my rack tom on a rack, which again probably you won't have because most entry-level kits come with a bass drum mount, so you probably have both of your toms mounted to that bass drum mount, or another possibility would be to have some kind of clamp and mount it to a cymbal stand. Both of those options look like this. And this is what the toms sound like. So the next drum is the heart and soul of every drum kit. It's the snare drum, right in front of you. And what makes this drum special are the snare wires on the bottom head. So without the snare wires it would sound like this. With the snare wires on, okay, so as I said, the heart and soul of the drum kit, that's the snare drum. Moving on to the cymbals, we have the hi-hat, the crash, another crash, the ride, and then these things are kind of additional, they are effect cymbals, totally not necessary, but this is a splash, and this one you can hardly see is a china stacked with another splash. And this is what those cymbals sound like. And this is what the whole kit sounds like. next thing I like to do is talk a little bit about the hardware. So we have the actual hardware, which is, as I said earlier, the bass drum pedal, the snare drum stand, the hi-hat stand, and the cymbal stands. Those are basically the main hardware. And then there is something called the shell hardware, which is basically everything metal that gets mounted onto the shells. Now, as you can probably tell, every drum has 2 drum heads on it, and those drum heads of course need to be held in place by something. So basically you need 3 things, you need 3 things to mount a head onto a drum. You need the rim, the tension rods, and the lug. So as you can see, the tension rods go through the holes of the rim and get screwed into the lugs. That's how you mount the heads. The only exception to that is the bass drum, which in most cases does not have a metal rim like this, but a wooden one, and since the wooden rim doesn't have any holes in it, you need these things, which are called the bass drum claws, and those basically make the same job as the rim does on the toms and the snare. Then again, some basic differences between the toms. The floor tom of course has legs because it stands on the floor, hence the name, and every rack tom will have some kind of mount, like I have this one, to mount it, as I said, either on a rack, on a cymbal stand, or on a bass drum mount. Taking a closer look at the snare drum, we can see the throw-off, which operates the snare wires, the butt end on the other side to hold them in place, and the actual wires on the bottom head. Other random things, we have the hi-hat clutch over here, which you need to operate your hi-hat. Now, to hold all your other cymbals in place, you will probably have something that looks similar to this, a felt, and I use the Tama cymbal mate. You will probably have some kind of wing nut if you purchased any entry-level kit, but I love these things. They are just so much easier to get on and off the cymbal. It's just like this and you're done. So I really like those. Okay, that's all the basics I could think of. If you find something else on your drum set that you want to know about and I didn't mention in the video, please let me know in the comments and I'll be more than happy to help you out.